Hey guys, Mike here. So today I'm here to talk to you about Hellboy. In this review I'll be going over a brief summary of the plot, my quick thoughts about the film and whether or not you guys should go and see it. So I'm going to try and keep this review spoiler free. However, if you don't know anything about the film and you want to go in completely blind, then let's just come back to this video once you've seen the film. So with that, let's get started, shall we? So Hellboy stars David Harbour as the new Hellboy. You may remember him best from his role in Stranger Things. In Hellboy, Hellboy is a demon spawn who is on the side of the humans because they raised him from a small baby to the age he is now. And in Hellboy, he has to stop this evil blood witch from taking over the world, spreading a plague, just some generic nonsense like that. So with the premise out of the way, let's get to the actual main points of the review. First off, David Harbour as Hellboy. Now, I did like him as Hellboy, he really brought some life to the character, and he definitely wasn't as probably bad as some people thought he was gonna be. Now, I was kind of hoping I wouldn't say this because I didn't want to be one of these people who always says that the original is better. But unfortunately, Ron Perlman for me still is Hellboy. Not that David Harbour did a particularly bad job, he did fine with the material that he was given, and for the most part he did look really good as Hellboy, but Ron Perlman just embodied the character just so much better. He had a lot more depth to him, he had better relationships with pretty much everyone in the movie, and he was just a lot more entertaining to watch on screen. And also, he didn't just spend his whole time pretty much being like, oh, I hate my dad. Also, speaking of his father, in this Hellboy, it's Ian McShane who plays his dad. And Ian McShane's a fine actor, and he usually does well in pretty much most everything that he's in. And this movie was no exception. But unfortunately, the relationship that Hellboy and him had just was pretty much boiled down to just them, kind of bickering all the time. I mean, John Hurt and Ron Perlman's characters argued, but at the same time, you really felt like they had a father-son dynamic and they were actually trying to make each other better. But in this one, it's just Ian McShane for pretty much most of the screen time, just telling him to grow up. Also, remember the supporting cast in the Del Toro Hellboy movies who had interesting character arcs and were pretty much just good on screen in general? Yeah, in this new one, you don't really get that. You get Medium Girl and you get Man Cheater.
I'm a man cheater.
Jeez, I never thought I'd be making an Always Sunny in Philadelphia reference for Hellboy. I don't know, the supporting cast in this one didn't really speak to me as much as the Del Toro Hellboy movies. But really, the thing in Hellboy which let me know I was going to be in for a bad time was literally the very first action scene. You just could not see what was going on. It was shot bad, it was edited bad, there was just no interesting choreography, it just didn't work in the slightest. Though I thought, maybe this is just an outlier, maybe this won't be the whole basis for the action for the entire movie. But I soon found out that, for the most part, this was how all the action was going to be filmed. Choppy editing, shaky as hell, and just unentertaining to watch. Though having said that, not every single action scene was like this. There were two, which were, for the most part, shot really well. You could see everything that was going on, and they were entertaining. The only problem was that the first fight was pretty much inconsequential to the actual plot, and the second one came literally in the last few minutes of the movie. I mean, they've shown this action scene in the trailer, and I just hate when trailers do this, when they literally show you the very last scene of the movie. I mean, just why do that? I mean, another thing about one of the only good action scenes in this movie is that all it did was just set up for a sequel, which, looking at the way this thing's getting rated, it doesn't look like it's getting a sequel. I'd say one of the better decisions they made for Hellboy was rating it higher, a 15, an R, whatever it is, wherever you're from. Because it meant they didn't have to be as family-friendly with this one. Not that I'm saying that the Del Toro movies were particularly family-friendly, but, at least with a higher rating, you can do a bit more with it. But unfortunately, all it amounts to is a couple of F-bombs and an excessive amount of gore. Don't get me wrong, I don't mind a bit of gore in my movies, but this was just to an absolute ludicrous and insane degree. To the point where you're just thinking, oh man, they just got blood for blood's sake. And I'd say, other than these somewhat uninteresting characters and the pretty much boring plot, one of the other big problems comes with pacing. I mean, for the most part, the pace is just so damn slow, and you're just there thinking, oh god, can this just pick up, please? And then all of a sudden it just switches gears, and then you're halfway across the one, and you're like, whoa, what the bloody hell just happened there? And as well, this one is just so exposition heavy. Pretty much to the point where they're just adding scenes of pointless exposition where they could just literally have someone go, oh, there it is, instead of having a 5-minute scene explaining who someone is or why they should care or where they need to go. It just adds more time to this already bloated movie. Overall, guys, I went into Hellboy really wanting to like this movie. I mean, we never got a satisfying conclusion to the Del Toro trilogy. Well, it never actually got to be a trilogy because they never made the third movie. So I was hoping with this reboot that we'd get something new, or maybe it'd be more interesting than the original, or maybe even better. But unfortunately, all we've got is just another generic fantasy gore fest, where they just kind of throw every fantasy trope at the wall and hope something will stick. David Harbour as Hellboy was easily the best part about the movie. The supporting cast were pretty much uninteresting, plot was slow, action was abysmal, and this was just not enjoyable to watch in the slightest. I mean, that may be a bit harsh. I did definitely enjoy some parts of this movie, but as a whole, this was just so disappointing. But now, as for whether or not you guys should go and see it, honestly, I probably would have recommended this just purely for the Hellboy namesake, but this was just so bad, and it just made me miss the original Del Toro one so much, that I would honestly say, just do not go see this one. Just stick with the Del Toro ones, just, you know, with, like, some nostalgia, and don't see this one. I mean, I know it's too late to get a third Del Toro Hellboy movie, but at least we can dream. Okay, guys, that's my review of Hellboy. If you've seen it, what did you think about it, and who did you prefer? Del Toro Hellboy or Neil Marshall Hellboy? Whoever you preferred, drop it in the comments below, and until next time, I've been Michael. See ya!
I'm a man cheater.